To come in.
All right.
All right. Go ahead and tell what your name is.
My name is Kerry Lipp. I write under the name of Kerry G.S. Lipp.
All right. Tell everybody what the GS stands for.
The GS stands for Giant Squid.
All right. Explain that.
It's a kind of a silly story. Maybe 5 years ago, I changed my middle name on Facebook to Giant Squid because I knew it would make like 6 or 7 people laugh, and the name kind of stuck, and so I kind of developed this identity as the Giant Squid, and then Facebook cracked down on names and stole it away from me. So now, if you look me up, I am just Kerry Lipp.
You lost your identity.
And it's stolen by Facebook. Like
right.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Now, did you actually use that in some table of contents?
Yes.
Giant Squid?
I not spelled out, but I abbreviated my name to GS in the middle, so it was Kerry GS Lipp.
All right, you've been in a lot of anthologies. Tell about a couple that you've got stories in.
Okay, I'm in I think 37 or 38.
Good Lord.
I know, right? They keep racking up. The biggest one was probably DOA 2, which came out from Bloodbound Books. Featured Jack Ketchum and Monica O'Rourke and Wrath James White, some of the people whose books I have on my shelf.
Right.
Some of the top names, and that was one of my first sales, so that was pretty important to me. And then most recently, my first pro sale was in Creepy Campfire Tales for grown-ups, so make sure that you're not reading that to your kids, and that's pretty nasty, and that just came out very recently, so check that one out too.
Oh, cool. Now you're going to the Stanley Hotel. You want to tell about that some?
Yeah, I'm going to the Stanley Hotel Writers Retreat in about a month and a half.
Okay, explain why that's significant.
Okay,
for
Stanley Hotel is where Stephen King came up with the idea for The Shining. If you've seen the movie that Stanley Kubrick made, it's not actually filmed in there, but the hotel was inspired by the Stanley Hotel. And King, I think, wrote the book, I think it's Room 217, where the idea came to him, and that's kind of one of Stephen King's most iconic works. And so R.J. Cavender, who is a publisher, editor, etc., set up this retreat, and he brings in a lot of big names, like Jack Ketchum's going to be there this year, and Keelan Patrick Burke, and Trent Zelazny. So there's several different people who are going to be there, and then he opens the doors to the public, and I think it's maybe 90 people or so are going to go there to read and write and drink beer and talk to craft and hopefully learn something and get something done. So I'm really excited about that.
All right, tell about like how these like retreats and conventions play into you trying to build this career. Like where do you see that fitting in for you?
Okay, I'm sort of a newbie to all this. I've been writing for about 3 years, but I'm fairly new to conventions and retreats and stuff like that. Like you can meet people on Facebook and interact with them and be good friends with them, but never meet them in person.
Right.
And these retreats and conventions and whatever give you a chance to meet those people and interact with them, and hopefully you like the person that they are as much as you like their online persona. But you just, and your friends know other people, and so like I went to Imaginarium last weekend with a friend. His name's Rob Boley, and he knows people and I know people, and after we left, we kind of cross-breeded or incested friends or whatever you want to call it, and so now like I know more people and he knows more people, and we had a great time, and that's what's cool about conventions and the Stanley Retreat. Hopefully I'll get to walk out with more friendships and contacts and learn a lot in the process.
All right. Now you've done a lot of short fiction, and you're kind of working long term on some of your long fiction.
Yes.
Can you tell about that difference for you, where you seem to be producing a lot of short fiction, but then how does that translate to you trying to make those longer pieces?
Okay. I really like short fiction. That's where I got started. I've got a couple novels written or in the process of being written, and it's tough because you can sit down and write a short story in an afternoon and edit it and maybe even have it sent out within the same couple of days. A novel is just a different animal, and when you sit down and write 1,000 words a day, it doesn't seem like that much, but if you do it over a month or 2 months or 3 months, it really does add up and becomes this novel. And it's hard to kind of wrap your head around, well, I can just write down this story and have it completely done in 2 days versus why would I spend 3 months on this novel? And so it's kind of a struggle to figure that out. But the novel, I guess, is ultimately more rewarding. It's something that just has your name on it. You know, you might have editors or publishers that help you with it, but in an anthology, you might, you know, be in there with, you know, 10 or 20 stories, and you might not get anyone's attention. But with a novel, you have that opportunity. And so I've written one. Right now, I'm in the process of writing another, and trying to get it edited. And it's difficult, but I'm excited about it, and I'm happy about it. It's a good experience.
All right, now you're talking about, we don't have to get specific about like publisher or title or anything like that, but you're talking about that you had a short story that a publisher is encouraging you to expand into a novel.
Yes.
You want to talk about some of that struggle, like figuring out how to take something that works as 4,500 words, but now they see it as 20,000, and you're trying to make it that?
It's tough. It's so tough that they gave me the opportunity all the way back in, I think, March, and I have done very, very little with it. I wrote 2,000 words. I thought I was going to start from the short story that I sent to them was going to be the middle, so I was going to write the beginning and write the end. And I've written about 3,000 words, maybe 2,000 that I don't really like, and so I'm going to go back and reread the story and do what happens after that, as opposed to before that. And I guess it's a task and exploration of what's going to work and what's not going to work. And who knows, maybe I'll write the next 15,000 after that and decide it sucks, and, you know, I'll go
start back from the beginning.
Start back from the beginning again. So, but it's such a good opportunity that I don't want to blow it. So I'm kind of taking my time, and hopefully I can come up with something that they'll like, and that'll work, and that they can sell, and that I can get a little notoriety from.
Do you feel like you overthink it sometimes? Do you feel like you get up in your head and
definitely
it blocks you from?
It's sometimes it's where like you're second guessing every sentence you write and every word that you write, and other times when you get in a groove, you write 2,000 words without thinking about a single sentence that you wrote. You know, it's just hard. But when you've got someone with a good reputation who's interested in you don't want to let them down, because, you know, like I'm kind of new at this, and this is a great opportunity, and I don't want to send them something like, why did we waste our time with that guy? You know, like, so I want to make it as good as it can possibly be, I guess. All
right, when you're building a story, do you tend to, as you're putting those pieces together, do you tend to like glom onto the characters first, or is it the story premise that builds for you, or is it, you know, one particular scene that you realize that the story wraps around that, or how does it work together for you?
It usually starts with an idea that you want to write towards, and then what happens, at least for me, is that the characters kind of overtake that idea, and you still write towards that idea, but the characters become primary. So, you know, I might have this idea of X, Y, or Z happening, and that seems so cool, and it is still cool, but it's a lot cooler when it's happening to characters that I've spent some time creating and given, you know, a reason to care about what they're working toward. That's important to me. I was talking to you earlier about how I don't like stories where the characters almost become interchangeable. They're just names, and it doesn't matter who they are. It could be any one of let's say there's 6 characters. It could be any one of those names doing something, but it doesn't matter. I'd rather have, you know, 6 or 4 or even 2 that you care about, that are trying to achieve something or fight through a struggle or whatever.
Now, how do you differentiate your characters then? So, like, what do you do that makes this individual unique compared to the person that's carrying the story with them?
I don't know.
You wish you knew.
That's a tough question. I guess you try and make them real, and that's such a good question. You make them want something, and you make them work for it, and a lot of times you drag them through the mud on their way to get to, you know, what that is, and we can all relate to that. We've all, you know, thought we had a clear shot at something, and then all this crap happens, and it messes it all up for you, and, you know, it makes that person fun to read about because you get to root for them, and it breaks your heart that much more when I decide to kill them at the end of the story. But, you know, for the most part, it gives you somebody to cheer for, someone to relate to, and that, I think, is what's important. Most ideas have already been done, or at least a variation of those ideas. So if you take fresh characters from a fresh perspective, I think that's how you can kind of resell or rewrite or redo a lot of the stuff that's already been done.
All right, sounds good. Say goodbye to everybody.
All right, goodbye. Thanks for listening.